Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Dragon Ball What If idea. What if the Grand Priest raised Goku? I've always wanted to do one of these crazy abstract ideas that don't really follow the original Dragon Ball continuity, so I did. This series is probably going to be shorter than my other ones, probably just 2 to 3 parts, but we'll see how it goes. Real quick before we start, I am going to be saying Grand Priest instead of Daishinkan because it's a bit of a tongue twister. Alright, let's get back to the intro. This timeline starts when Bardock and Gine put baby Goku in a space pod to avoid the inevitable destruction of planet Vegeta. They send him off, and Goku flies through space, unaware of the abnormality that's about to happen. Shortly after departing from planet Vegeta, Goku found himself in an unprecedented cosmic storm. The storm was created from a temporary rip in reality, possibly from a battle between strong fighters of another timeline. The rift quickly seals itself, but the energy from its exposure takes Goku's space pod in an entirely different direction. Here, he floats, and floats, and floats. It seems never ending, but just when will he land? Weak from hunger, he musters the strength to take a look outside the glass, but it's nothing. It's just an endless void. Well, I guess that's the end of the story of Goku. Would be quite the understatement. As he sadly looks away from the glass, a flash of light catches his eye, and a mysterious man seems to be looking around into the void. This is the Grand Priest of the Multiverse, who's currently doing his personal universe inspections that he does once every millennium. He locks eyes with Goku, but chooses to ignore him, since the angel code is to never interfere with mortals. But he feels something strange from this mortal that he's never really felt before. It's more than strange, it's almost wrong. He almost never does this, being the highest ranking angel in the multiverse, but he's going to view the fate of this mortal. And his premonition was correct. This is sort of an alternate timeline for this child. It seems like he was never meant to meet this fate. It was probably the energy of an immortal that led him to being all the way out here in the first place. For the first time in a very long time, the Grand Priest is unsure of what to do. He's seen premonitions of the limits this mortal can break, and he's very interested. But the thought of taking in a child is against everything the angel stands for, the very rules he himself put in place. He sits for a while, and finally comes to the conclusion that he'll take Goku in. Perhaps he can learn something valuable about the mortals that he couldn't learn if he simply avoided this conflict. So he takes Goku, looks around hesitantly, and uses one of the cosmic skills only accessible to the Grand Priest, the Pocket Dimension. He takes Goku in and begins to create a small world for the Saiyan to live and grow up in. He has a bit of trouble here determining what world he wants to make for Goku, but he determines that the landscape and nature of planet Vegeta would be the best fit. After all, the mortals there are much stronger than those on Earth, Goku's original home. The world is created, and the Grand Priest opens the pod, releasing Goku. In Dragon Ball Original, Goku was a baby when he got to Earth. Yet in Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, Goku's shown to be a bit older, so I'm going to use the Goku from DBS for this what if. But the Grand Priest finds a bit of a dilemma. He needs to be here to guide Goku's early childhood, or he will surely die, ruining the experiment. But if he's here, the other gods will surely note of his absence and investigate, so he does what any omnipotent god would do, and splits in two, transferring half of his power into each body. Let's be so real, if Piccolo could do this, then he definitely could. He never really has to use close to full power, so surely nobody would notice. One body guides the Goku experiment, while one body continues the universal inspections. The Grand Priest gives Goku nourishment when they arrive, but decides he's going to be hands-off for the first however many years of Goku's life. But before he goes into the sky, he makes a detrimental decision of cutting off Goku's tail, permanently sealing it off with magic. This is because he determined that the Saiyan biology is irrelevant to this experiment, and will only get in the way of his research. But that's all he does. This altered planet Vegeta should be a fine enough adversary for a while. And he's right, Goku really doesn't see much of the Grand Priest for the first 10 years of his life. He lives as one of the creatures on planet Vegeta. He eats, he builds shelter, he travels, and most importantly, he fights. He has no grasp of martial arts, yet he battles off menacing creatures time and time again. He wins some, he loses some, but with each fight, he becomes stronger and stronger. He finally reaches age 10, and the Grand Priest finally decides to make an appearance. He appears in front of young Goku, who growls and attacks him. Grand Priest effortlessly evades this, but he realized he made a fatal slip. He didn't take into account that Goku has no idea of the English language, or any language at that. He puts a hand on Goku's head, and Goku's eyes go blank. He transfers the English language to Goku's lexicon, and he reawakens, confused of the situation. Goku, surprised with himself, asks if this man is God. And the Grand Priest says no, he's no God. Simply a man trying to teach Goku to survive. He offers to teach Goku a way to defeat more creatures, gain more food, and Goku quickly accepts. This is martial arts. During the next 8 years, Grand Priest becomes Goku's martial arts master, as well as his life guide, who informs him on the many wonders of the world. Specifically Planet Vegeta, since he doesn't really want to give too much away about who he really is. Here, Goku gains immeasurable power in comparison to what he accomplished alone. His brain and muscles become much more refined as he spends more and more time with the Grand Priest. While sparring, Goku asks the Grand Priest about his insane ability to dodge anything he throws, even when he's not watching Goku. This results in Goku finding out about Autonomous Ultra Instinct, a special skill that only angels in the universe can have. But Goku doesn't believe him. Day in and day out, Goku works on this both alone while meditating and with the Grand Priest while sparring. Around age 16, Goku finally gets his growth spurt, which makes martial arts much easier since his limbs are longer and much stronger than before. Then, at age 17, he finally does it. He's achieved Ultra Instinct, or more the second step of the journey. He still has far to go before he masters this, but the spars with the priest are becoming much more intense. So far, this experiment was a huge success. The Grand Priest had no idea how much joy came from raising a child. I mean, he had the angels, but that was a completely different story. He never felt the bond he currently feels with Goku. They're quite the pair. But soon, Goku grew bored of the small planet. Other than the Grand Priest, he's done and learned everything there is to do here. He's explored every crevice and battled every monster. He hungers for more. And this hunger could not have come at a better time. Bored with his own existence, Zeno, the Omni King of the universe, accidentally created an enormous wormhole in the center of the multiverse. Grand Priest is usually the one that has to deal with these sort of things, so he has no choice but to fuse Hole once again to use his full power to fix the multiverse. But what to do with Goku? If he leaves his pocket dimension, the world will surely collapse on itself in a few weeks. He must take Goku somewhere. And he has a pretty good idea as of where. So, on his 18th birthday, he sits down with Goku and tells him about who he truly is, and what his role in the universe is. And Goku's astonished. He knew his master was strong, but he had no idea he was this important. The Grand Priest says that he'll be gone for about 5 months, so now is better time than ever to advance to the next level of training. From this point on, he will travel to Universe 7 to train with one of his sons, Whis. Until this point, Goku's been wearing an outfit similar to what he wore in the main timeline, so the Grand Priest officially makes him his disciple and creates him his own outfit. But Goku passes it up. He's not prepared to wear such an outfit. Not yet, he has work to do. And the Grand Priest smiles. Grand Priest picks Whis for a couple of reasons. One is because his god of destruction, Beerus, is currently asleep. Another reason is Goku's origin. He was supposed to be here in the first place, so it would be an interesting experiment to see what happens when he's reintroduced to the universe. The final reason being Maris, one of the sons that never really followed the passive, law-abiding nature of the angels. Whis was especially close to Maris, so perhaps he's similar in nature. So, after 18 years, the two leave the pocket dimension and head to Beerus' planet and Universe 7. Whis is extremely shocked to see the Grand Priest, but even more shocked to see a mortal with him. The priest sits down with Whis and informs him about his top secret experiment. He tells him that the experiment is not to be shared with any other god or angel, with the exception of Beerus when he awakes. He puts a hand on Whis' shoulder and passes the knowledge of Goku's past history in the main timeline. Whis is quite surprised. It seems he was supposed to train Goku in this alternate reality, but he seems so different now. He acts very similar to an angel in training, calm and collected, but he still does have a mortal side due to his upbringing. But the priest doesn't show Whis any memories of the past 18 years. He wants Goku to have a fresh slate of training. He says goodbye to the two and leaves to join his other half, currently trying to close the wormhole. So, Whis begins to train Goku. He's quite surprised that a mortal could ever use any ability similar to the Angel's Ultra Instinct. At this point, Goku's used to battling someone on the level of the Grand Priest, so he's permanently in a form of Ultra Instinct Omen, from his rigorous training on planet Vegeta. But still, this form is not enough to defeat an angel, and Goku loses a spar, but he's inspired to someday be at the same level. After looking into Goku's main timeline history, Whis determines that the next path of training wouldn't be about the angel, but more about the Saiyan. Whis sits Goku down and teaches him about his species' origins, the Saiyans. Goku hasn't heard about this from the priest yet, so he's very intrigued. Whis tells him about the origins and demise of the Saiyan race. There's actually a few scattered around the universe, but after Emperor Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta, the race dwindled to a handful. And in the race, a select few had the ability to push beyond their limits and achieve new forms at scale and power. Goku excitedly asks Whis if he can get these forms, and Whis says that they're going to try. By now, Goku's strong enough to achieve any of the Saiyan-related forms, but he's unaware of how to do so. So Whis tells him these forms are achieved from anger, the complete opposite of Ultra Instinct. Fighting with anger is an entirely new concept for Goku, since he hasn't really done it since childhood. So Goku tries to think of anger, and the only thing he could ever get angry about is never being able to surpass an angel. So he screams and unlocks the power of the Super Saiyan. But right after he transforms, he loses the ability to use Ultra Instinct Omen. He has quite a bit of training to do. Balancing the perfect amount of anger and tranquility is difficult for Goku to learn, and Whis to teach, but eventually, after 3 months of trying, they do it. Goku screams and powers up the Super Saiyan while actively staying in the Ultra Instinct Omen form. This is an entirely new aura, an aura so strange that it wakes Beerus, the Universe 7 god of destruction, right out of bed. Just who can be invading his home? He flies out and stands before both Whis and his new opponent. Whis explains that training this mortal was a secret task ordered by the Grand Priest, and Beerus shudders when hearing this name. But mortal? This ki hardly feels mortal, and that stance, it looks extremely similar to Whis. But no matter, Beerus needs to stretch a bit after his slumber, and this guy seems perfect. Well, I think that's where I'm going to wrap this part up. If you're enjoying the series so far, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, I'll see you all in the next one.